Hello, my name's David Shercliff and I'm a reader at St Thomas's Church in Mellor, South Manchester, and this is my thought for the day. Our reading for today is from Luke 9 verse 51 to the end, and it'd be great if you could read that beforehand if you wanted to pause. It's the story of Jesus setting his face to Jerusalem and some of the distractions along the way. I don't know about you. Are you good at getting things done? I must admit, one of the things I struggle with is getting things done. I love making lists of what I'm about to do. I then think of additional complications, which then takes up more time, and I end up having to do things in a rush at the last minute, in a stressed state, and not much better quality than if I had done it straight away in the first place. I've been on furlough and things I have put off for ages have finally been done, like finishing off some decking and painting the fence with preserver. And each task actually was easier than I thought, and it could have been done ages ago. We're talking about procrastination, and we're all at some time have suffered from it. This isn't something which is a modern problem because caused by the distraction of the internet or TV or something. There are records by a Greek poet, Hesiod, writing about 800 BC, who cautioned not to put your work off till tomorrow and the day after, and the Roman consul Cicero called procrastination hateful in the conduct of affairs. What's become quite clear since the days of Cicero is that procrastination isn't just hateful, it's downright harmful. In research settings, people who procrastinate have high levels of stress and lower well-being. In the real world, undesired delay is often associated with inadequate retirement savings or missed medical visits or that last-minute tax return. Procrastination is a failure of self-regulation. Experts define it as the voluntary delay of some important task that we intend to do, despite knowing that we'll suffer as a result. It isn't about time management, it's about who you think you are and what your purpose and worth is. Psychological studies have shown the harm this can do, and is a self-defeating behaviour with a lack of self-control. One psychologist put it as emotional regulation, to me, is the real story about procrastination, because to the extent that I can deal with the emotions, I can stay on task. In our reading, Jesus knew he was to be taken up. He had chatted with Moses and Elijah at his transfiguration. The disciples had seen and heard it. So he set his task to go to Jerusalem, where he knew he would be killed and raised up. He predicted this, and he told them at least 3 times that are recorded that this would happen. He planned the trip and sent people ahead to prepare his trip, accommodation and so forth. And a Samaritan village wouldn't accept him because he was headed for Jerusalem. No doubt they were digging up the old rivalry between Israel and Samaria. Our Messiah wouldn't be going to Jerusalem, so he can't be the Messiah. And the disciples took the bait and wanted to procrastinate and go over old ground and start showing off that they had the real thing. Jesus told them off for getting off the task and told them to find somewhere else. Well, to illustrate that Jesus knew his task, Luke records 2 more examples in conversations with people. Both effectively said, "I'll follow you. I can see you're important." Jesus once again shows he is not going to be distracted. He's going to Jerusalem and says, "Well, if you follow me, then we're going to Jerusalem to save the world." They tried to distract him. Can you just hold on a minute and wait a bit? I must first do some other things. I need to say farewell to my family, and I'd like to bury my father. This is about priorities, and our individualistic worldview and personal rights culture, this would sound very reasonable from these two men. Luke again records this to show the importance of the task Jesus was given, ordained by God, confirmed by the great prophets of Israel, to go and save humanity, and nothing will distract him. Jesus cares for people more than anyone can even conceive of. He cares about family. He wept over the death of his friend. But Jesus has the ability to understand and control his emotions, such that he might fulfill the task before him. For then Jesus said, "If you are coming, come." But we aren't delaying. Our task may not be to save the world in one act, but to be mindful of what God has asked us to do in redeeming the world. With the help of the Holy Spirit and her gift of self-control, we will find a purpose and direction which helps us with how we value ourselves, others, and how we use our time. Our identity as a child of God, and as Christians, we have decided to follow Jesus. Our purpose-driven life is guided by our hearing God saying, "Come, go," or "Stop." When we start to do what we humbly perceive is God's will, all other things will fall into place, and we will be in the happiest place on earth.